Hi, I'm Chef Alan Tetreault with Global Sugar Art, and today I'd like to teach you how to make some really cute sugar shoes. They're made out of gum paste or Mexican paste. We're going to make the regular gem shoe, which is about 4, maybe 5 inches long, and we're also going to make some little miniature ones that are perfect for cupcakes. These shoes are great to use on a wedding shower cake or a birthday cake. They're great for cupcakes as well. So let's get started. Before I begin showing you how to make the shoes, I'd like to go over the different parts, the different cutters that are involved. I have one shoe made up here. This is the larger gem shoe, and that is made with the sole cutter. You have 2 pieces to make the heel. You have the front of the shoe, and then you have a choice of 2 different straps for the back of the shoe. Now for this same shoe cutter kit, they make an auxiliary kit called the shoe toppers kit. And this is a closed toe for the front. This is a back and a strap that goes all the way around. And then there are 2 different straps, a double strap and a triple strap. So that is a second kit that is available. And these are auxiliary pieces that can be used with the basic gem shoe kit. Now they only work with the regular size, not the miniature. The cupcakes I have over here are made with the miniature kit. And the miniature kit consists of the sole of the shoe, the front over the toe piece, 1 strap, and then it has the little cutters to make the heel as well. And both kits come with little styrofoam pieces or little forms to hold the shoe in place while it's drying. So to begin with, we're going to work on the larger shoe. It's a little easier to see, and for a beginner, it's also a little easier shoe to make. So I'm going to start by making the heel. Take these cutters off. The heel comes in 2 parts, and there are little buttons that go together, and you just snap the piece together. What I like to do is I like to put a little bit of shortening or Crisco or something on ahead of time. It helps the gum paste to come out. Just use a brush and a very, very light coating. Now, today I'm going to be using Mexican paste. I've said gum paste several times. You can use gum paste. Gum paste takes longer to dry. Also, when you're getting into the straps and the front of the shoe, the gum paste stretches and it's a little harder to use. So my product of choice for making shoes like this is definitely Mexican paste. We have recipes on our website. We also sell a Mexican paste mix. To begin, I'm going to start with a piece of teal colored paste, and I'm just going to knead this up. This is the Mexican paste. I'm going to put the 2 pieces of the heel former together and just snap those together. Take your piece of paste and roll it into a cone shape. You want to be able to push it down into the former. And it's going to want to come out the bottom, so you want to push hard. And then take a knife and cut off any extra that you don't need. You do want this flat on the top. Okay. Just make sure it's nice and flat on the top, and then just slice off the little piece on the bottom. And I'm going to open this up and just gently take this out. Now you'll notice a seam down the back. I would prefer that you leave the seam there for about an hour or 2, and then you can take a very flexible blade or a spatula, and you can just very gently remove that seam. If you try to do it now, you won't be able to get it off in a nice clean, with a nice clean look. It'll look jagged. And the less you have to touch this heel once it's unmolded, the better. You want it just to dry in this position. Now the heel ideally should be dried at least several hours or overnight until it's completely dried. Here's one that we made yesterday. This is the one I'm going to use in my demonstration today. It's dried overnight. So that's how you make the heel for the large shoe. Our next step is to make the sole of the shoe. Now you can make a plain sole like I have on the white shoes on this cake, or you can do one with one of the Luxe edible images like I have here on this one. So this is what I want to show you today, because this is really easy. You just cut the paste and attach it. This is a little bit more complicated, but still very easy to do. So I'm going to start with one of the edible images. And the one we've chosen for today is this nice teal design. And I just need to cut a piece that's going to fit the sole of the shoe. Okay, and now you want a piece of rolled out Mexican paste. Now this paste is much thicker than you would use for a flour. On my pasta machine, on the Atlas pasta machine, I brought this down to about a number 2. It's fairly thick. If you don't make the sole of the shoe thick enough, when you go to attach the pieces, you have nothing to adhere it to, and it just keeps falling or breaking off. So the sole has to be fairly thick. I'm going to put that down. And I'm going to brush this with water. Just a very light coating of water. And then you just peel off the edible image and lay that right on the paper. Or lay the paper right on the Mexican paste. Just roll it a little bit. Okay. We're going to use one of the gem pads. These are designed, they have the holes in the exact place to match up with the holes in the back of their cutters. Take a little bit of cornstarch and gently just dust the sole and place it on that. And then put your piece of paste with the edible image right on top of it. And then start in the center using your rolling pin and go to the ends, and you can see how this just cuts it right out. There you go. Pop that out of there. And I usually start from the back. Just use a little palette knife, and that'll come right out. And then the sole is all made. You won't see the stitch lines as much when you're using a pattern or an edible image. You'll really see the stitching lines on a plain white piece or a colored piece of paste. But when you use the edible images, the stitching lines don't show up as much. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to cut the front and the strap as well. And I'm going to use a piece of teal paste for that. This is a little bit thinner than the sole was. Put a little bit of cornstarch on your board. Make sure that moves freely. Oops. Okay, for the front, you'll find two cutters, or two pieces, excuse me. One is a cutter and one is an embosser. So the first thing you want to do is cut one piece. And again, just use a little palette knife. And once that's out, then you use your embosser. Just lay it over the top, line it up, and press it down. And that'll put the ribbing, the little design on the inside. So you've cut the piece and you've embossed it. Now you have one of these little formers that comes with the kit. Just lay that over it. And we want this to firm up but not harden. So depending on the humidity in your room, this could take anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. You want to be able to still have some flexibility so that you can attach it to the shoe, but you also want it to hold the curve by itself. So I'm going to leave that right there, and I'm going to cut a strap. I want the paste just a little bit thinner for the strap. Put a little cornstarch on my strap cutter. Oops. And that came right out. So the strap is all ready. Now, the strap also needs to dry. That's the part that's right here. If you lay it over the former this way, it's too wide for the shoe. So what I like to do, as long as it's got a little cornstarch on it, which it does, is I actually lay it right over the other one and just bend it over. And you can just leave those two parts just like that for an hour or a half hour, depending on how long it takes to sort of dry out. Now we're going to attach the sole of the shoe to the heel that I made yesterday. So here's the heel that I made yesterday. You can use two things to glue it together. You can use a gum glue, like a Tylose gum glue, or you can use a water brush. I find with Mexican paste, the water brush works fine. But if you want a shoe that is really going to be well glued together and you don't want to worry about it ever coming apart while it's on your cake or you're transporting it, then do use the gum glue. Just be aware that when you use gum glue, if it leaks out the sides at all, it'll be shiny and it will really show. So I'm going to put a little bit of water on the top and then just line it up with the heel, press it gently. And this is the second former that comes with your shoe. And all you do is lay that on the former. Make sure the heel is up, straight up and down. And that's all you have to do. Now that should dry at least a couple hours as well, so that the heel and the sole are well attached. Then we'll put those pieces on the sole. So while these are drying, I'm going to be right back and I'm going to show you how to make the miniature heel, and we'll cut out the parts for the miniature shoe as well. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back and I'm going to show you how to make the small heel for the miniature shoe. Now this heel set does not have the 4 little pins where you can push them together and attach it. So this is a little more difficult to make because you have to hold it together while you're pushing the paste into it. I've already used a little paintbrush and a little bit of shortening, and I've very lightly greased the inside of that. So I'm going to take a little piece of white paste, it doesn't take much, and again make it into a cone, but this time I'm going to make that bottom part much thinner and almost into a point. And this is where you'll get mad at yourself trying to do it. Okay, so I'm going to push that paste into there. I have to dry my hands. And cut it off. And what I like to do is use a cell pad or some sort of a foam pad that way I can push the two sides together while I'm pushing down. I've removed as much excess paste as I could so that it's flush with the top. Being able to push against the pad or a flat surface will make it a little easier for you. So I'm pushing the sides together and I'm pushing down, and I see that it's nice and flat, so now I can pull this apart. It's really not that difficult. After you do a couple of them, you'll get the hang of it. So that's ready to go. Again, this should dry for a few hours before you attach the heel. So I'm going to set that over here, and I have another one that I've already made that has dried. I'm just going to put my paste away. I've already cut out the sole of this shoe using the little sole cutter, and I've also taken the toe of the shoe and I've cut that and the strap. Instead of laying these over a former like we did for the larger shoe, I just curve them and I set them on a foam pad to dry for a little while. I'm going to use my water brush, put a little bit of water on the heel and attach the heel. And the little blue formers come with the kit. And you'll put that together. Let's get that so the camera can see it. And let that dry. And when that's glued together, at least give it a half hour or 30 minutes or an hour, and then we can attach these other parts to it. I think our larger shoe is ready to go now, so we'll assemble the larger shoe. So I have my sole and my heel connected. I'm going to move these to a side, and here are our other parts. It doesn't matter which part you put on first. I'll do the strap first. Now, where the heel connects to the sole is where the straps will go. So just put a little water on the inside, not on the ends, but on the inside of where the straps go. And one goes on one side, and one on the other, and just hold them in place for a few seconds. And that's it. They're glued. And now we'll put the front on, the toe. Again, put your water on the inside or your gum glue, whichever you prefer to use. And you're going to come in about, I'll turn this way, you're going to come in about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch and attach that. And it really is easier to hold it in your hand and do it. There. Just lightly press it to the side of the sole of the shoe, and then place it back on the former. And now I've attached the front. Now you'll see a little bit of cornstarch that's left on the paste. When we let this dry a little bit, I'm going to brush these parts that I just added with a little bit of teal or turquoise luster dust. And I'm going to show you a little trick so that you don't get the sole of the shoe dusted, or you don't get it dirty. But we're going to let this dry just a little bit, and we're going to put the little miniature shoe together. So I'm just going to set this aside and bring the little shoe back. And here's the strap. The same way, I'm going to put a little bit of water on the inside, and I'm going to attach that right where the shoe and the heel come together. And here's the toe. And you can see they're holding their shape. Oops. I got it wrong here. Use a little tool of something to push that into the sole on the side. Lift that back up. There. So now the little one is done. Now, make sure you let these dry before you try to finish them. You can color them, you can paint them, you can put glitter on them, you can add flowers or bows to the front of the shoe. You can embellish them hundreds of ways, but do let them dry before you do that. Otherwise, they'll start falling apart, and then when you try to put them back together, the pieces start breaking on you, and it really becomes a disaster. Once you've got these two parts on, and they're staying right in place where you want them, allow the shoe to completely dry before you do any finishing touches. So I'm going to let these dry a little bit, and I'm going to come right back and I'm going to show you how to do some finishing touches on the shoes. Okay, I'm back to show you how to finish the shoes and do some little finishing touches on them. I want to show you a trick on how to color the accessory part of the shoes, the toe and the strap, without getting any dust or any paint or anything on the sole of the shoe. I'm using my sole cutter. I'm putting it in the pad, and I'm going to lay a piece of paper towel over it. And I'm just going to go back and forth with my Oops. Oh, I thought I was there. We'll try another spot. I'm going to go back and forth with the rolling pin, and that's going to leave an impression in my towel. You may not be able to see it, but there's a clear impression of the sole of the shoe. Then I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut just on the inside of that. This doesn't have to be perfect. But you do want it a little bit smaller than the sole of the shoe. There. Sort of a crude piece, but it works. So we'll pull this back over here and then just gently put that in the sole of the shoe. And that's going to help protect the sole of the shoe while I color it. I have some dust that I've chosen. I'm using a teal luster dust. I'll put that on a paper towel. And you could dust it with a dry dust, but today I'm going to use a wet application. So I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol. You can use a vodka or gin or Everclear, or you can use lemon extract. Not lemon juice, but lemon extract. Thin that a little bit, and then you're just going to paint the sole of the shoe, or the toe of the shoe. If you're doing all white, a nice touch is just to pearlize it with a little bit of super pearl dust. And again, you can put it on dry or you can wet it. The reason that I dilute it with alcohol is I think that you get a nicer coat. It's a nicer finish. And also I don't have to deal with any powder flying around and getting all over the rest of the shoe. There. That's all done. And this is one of the Alan Tetreault bow molds. This is the small bow number 2. And I've taken a little piece of black paste and I've molded a little black bow. And to get that bow to shine a little bit, I'm going to use a brush with a little bit of shortening on it. And I'm just going to attach that with a little bit of water. And allow that to dry. And then lastly, just pull out your paper. And then you have a completed shoe. And I can take the mold out of, or the former out of here now so that you can see the completed shoe. So that's an easy way. You can do flowers, you can do bows, you can do all sorts of embellishments on the shoe. For the small shoe, you can do the same thing. You could add a bow, you could add a flower, you could add whatever you want. This time I'm going to use a little bit of, this is our hybrid luster dust. This is the Alan Tetreault line of luster dust. I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol and just a little bit of the luster dust. Now this luster dust can also be, the hybrid luster dust can also be dissolved with water. I still prefer to use the alcohol just because it dries faster. And this is sort of a bubblegum pink. Okay, so I finished painting the small shoe. You can use any color of luster dust that you'd like with either alcohol or lemon extract, or if you're using the hybrid dust, you can use water. The one thing I didn't do on this larger shoe is the heel. Normally you would color the heel as well to match the rest of the shoe. So that's how you make these shoes. They really are not hard. They take a little time because you have to let the different pieces dry just enough to attach them, but they're not a difficult project. And as you can see, the wow factor that the shoes have on cupcakes or a cake, is really great, and people just love them, and there's so many fun things that you can do with the shoes. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. You can buy all the supplies at globalsugarart.com. And just to go over, today we use the Gem high heel shoe, we use the Gem miniature shoe. Don't forget that you can get the Gem accessories for the large shoe. This is a separate kit with different backs and toes and straps. I used Mexican paste. Mexican paste is far easier to use to make this, to make these shoes than gum paste is. Gum paste is stretchy, it takes a lot longer to dry, it's much more difficult. So really do try the Mexican paste. That is also available on our website, and so is the recipe if you'd like to make it from scratch. We've used a couple molds for the bows. On this shoe that I made ahead of time, that's also one of the Alan Tetreault little flower molds. Have a great day. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and happy decorating.